We'll call a December 22nd County Board to session, rise and
Thought about it.
like the pledge.
Oh, yeah.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Gotta wait till she shows up there.
Nobody's going up there.
No way.
We aren't yet.
Whoops, it's all right.
I'm here, it says I'm not.
What's new?
Probably because you pressed it before you were supposed to.
Pressed it 3 times.
Yeah, he's really.
You're really here.
Did you notice he was the only one that was?
Confirms.
Christmas present. Roy's not here.
No, it was a long time ago.
Okay, we have a quorum with 19 present, 2 absent. Motion to accept the agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Mark, seconded by Steve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're going to have quite a few voice votes today. There will be a number of them that will require, though, to use the voter box, but we'll go down the line, and most of them are down in the ordinance area. Okay. Is there any correspondence other than what's in our packet as far as the unassigned balance? There's a letter in there from Ruth Massart, retirement after 25 years. We're developing a kind of a certificate to send out to these people and thanking them for being on a number of years that have been here. For employees, we've given a plaque over the years, but for other people, we haven't really sent anything out, so we're going to be sending her a thank you note for 25 years of service. Public comment, anybody going to comment? Anybody want to comment? If not, we'll go to the administrator's monthly report.
Nothing formal to report this month. I'd just like to wish everyone happy holidays, obviously, and also thank you for your support the past 4 months, and looking forward to working with everyone for the next year, so appreciate it.
And he has moved into the city here, or into the county, right?
In progress.
In progress. Motion to accept the minutes of the October 27th and November 10th.
Motion to accept.
Motion by Biz, seconded by Helen. Is there any corrections or additions, or if not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That has passed. Okay, resolutions. The first one is the hangar site. Biz, you want to make a motion and explain it briefly?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we accept Resolution 2015-92, hangar site lease agreement for building number 14.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
Second by Mr. Fisher. Is there any questions on it? We've had these a number of times, so Biz, you want to?
It's standard language. It's a 10-year non-commercial hangar site lease agreement. The language is pretty standard to what we've all seen in the past.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That has passed unanimously. Updated plan for land record modernization and grants in aid to local government applications. Who wants to make a motion to pass that? Motion by David, seconded by Mark. David, you want to explain it?
It's just the updated plan for the land records and then the annual application for the grants from the state to process LIO funds.
Okay. It's about 25 pages long or something like that, correct?
It's a grant application, yeah, it takes, the state.
Has anybody got any questions on it? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That has passed. Next one is to urge the Wisconsin legislature to transfer jurisdiction of 17-year-old delinquent offenders back into the juvenile assistance for adult correction system, from the adult correction system. Susan, make a motion?
I move that we adopt this resolution.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Could I?
Go ahead, speak.
I don't know if Joe is here, but you have in front of you an amended version on your desk that's got some additional things that wasn't in the packet. And the key thing are the yellow highlighted. In the 90s, the 17-year-olds were taken out of the juvenile justice system and put into the adult system. But at that time, they moved the 10 and 11-year-old offenders into that system. And over the years, the resources and the structures that counties have had in place to serve them have gone away. And we support, and this includes not just Legislative Committee, but Human Services Committee has talked about this a lot. We support the idea of putting the nonviolent 17-year-olds back into the juvenile justice system, but only if the resources come with them to serve this population. The system is already stressed, and if they come back without the resources, then the services they need provided to them to help them do better will not be available, plus the kids that are already in the system will not get the services they need. So we very much would like to see this happen, but only if the funding goes along with it.
Does anybody got any questions? No, you're voting on the one that's on your desk with the corrections, correct? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is passed unanimously. Resolution supporting approval of a .0 voter approval of the sales tax for highway purposes. John Ninus, you'd like to make a motion and
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we send this back to the Highway Committee because there's some new developments that came down that I just learned of this morning.
okay. Seconded by Joel. Has anybody got any questions?
Could you explain that? What the changes are, or expected changes?
John is back here. John got the message today. Is he still here?
Yeah.
Found out just yesterday that the Transportation Committee at their meeting of, I think it was 12/10 at the state legislature, made an amendment to this bill. And one of the amendments, or there was actually two major components of the amendment. One was actually how any funds would be distributed between the counties and the towns and the villages and the cities. That clarified it, but another part, they added some language which requires that any project over $100,000 that would be used as funds would have to be competitively bid, which means that that would include probably prohibiting the county highway department from doing some work on the county road system without going through a competitive bid process. So we're still trying to clarify that to find out if that is the exact intent. And with that language in there, I recommended to John and that we might want to consider to review that at the Highway Committee once again.
Okay. Are there any other questions? John? Cindy?
Yes. Would this be a referendum then in April?
I don't know that answer. I don't think so.
Once the bill gets passed.
Once the bill gets passed.
It would allow a referendum, and the referendum would either be in April or a November general election.
Private highway.
Okay.
That's trying to put us.
Any other questions?
Yeah, we know.
Biz?
Yeah, I see our representative is in the audience back here, and it seems more and more that that the privates are getting language in there that are really putting a lot of burden onto the highway departments that still have capability of making hot mix and paving roads. And I don't know if this is something that can be done at a level from the legislative, from the state, to help the counties that have all their paving operations to be able to at least do our county trunk roads.
That's why we're sending it back to committee to try to sort that out and come back to us and have a recommendation. That's the idea. Correct, John?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That has passed. John, you might as well, you gonna stick around for the next couple ones?
Unions. It's a powerful union.
Okay, the next one is the purchase of a rubber-tired loader, Highway Department. Go ahead, John.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2015-96.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Joel. You want to explain it?
Well, I guess if you read the fiscal impact, the rubber tire loader was included in the adopted 2016 Door County budget. So it's already been approved, it's been adopted, we got the money. We're just bringing it here because statutorily we do, if you buy something over $100,000, we have to come before the county board. This is standard procedure, it happens every year.
Okay. Is there any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is passed unanimously. Purchase of the truck chassis, dump box, and snow and ice control equipment. John,
I'll move for approval.
is there a second?
Second.
Second by Joel.
I guess I'll read it again. The truck and snow equipment was included in the adopted 2016 Door County budget. The budget amount was in the budget. So this is again over 100,000, so statutorily we have to come before the county board, and I'd just like to say one thing. We came in with 43,000, over 43,000 under what we had budgeted.
Okay. Is there any questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That is passed. Committee appointments. In your packet is a number of committee appointments. Most of them are by the county administrator, correct? Someone want to make a motion to pass it? Motion by Don City, seconded by Biz Verley. You want to explain them any other, what's there?
Sure, we're just, a lot of these are, as you notice on the packet, are reappointments. We do have some new individuals that did volunteer to be new members on the committees, which we're very pleased about. One thing of note is that obviously with some of the appointments, these are going to be in essence temporary until our April meeting, and we'll have to have some of these come back, obviously. But with that, if there's any other questions, otherwise they're pretty straightforward.
Does anybody have any questions?
Well, I was just going to mention, he said some of them have to come back because I see Supervisor Brand is reappointed to 2017, and I think he's already signed papers that he's not running, so.
Correct.
But that doesn't mean that he shouldn't be on here, but.
Correct. Okay, anybody else? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That's passed. Approval of the collective bargaining agreement, emergency medical service employees. Make a motion, somebody?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by David, seconded by Joel Gunlickson. You could explain it, or
ahead.
Grant, one of the two.
Grant can cover that.
I guess it's up to the board, obviously. Do you want me to go through and summarize, or do you want to ask me questions? The tentative agreement and the existing collective bargaining agreement were in the packet. Our goals were reasonably straightforward with respect to the employees within this bargaining unit who would not otherwise be required to do so, to increase their Wisconsin retirement system contributions to be in line with what is actually required by the Wisconsin retirement system for non-public safety employees that were employed after Act 10. Also, with the health coverage plan premium and health risk assessment, our goal was to achieve some relative similarity between these employees and those that are no longer represented by any bargaining unit. And then there are some language issues. If you want me to go through it in more detail, I can, but I think it's relatively simple and straightforward. And I should note that I received notice late last week that the bargaining unit did certify the tentative agreement, so they are in agreement. And what is required is, if the county board deems it fit to do so, is to approve the negotiated settlement agreement for the next 3-year collective bargaining agreement by adoption of the resolution.
Okay, has anybody got any questions? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is passed unanimously. Approval of the collective bargaining agreement between the Door County Sheriff's Association.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion we adopt Resolution 2015-100.
Okay, motion by Ken, seconded by Don City. Go ahead, Grant.
It's sort of a deja vu all over again. Our goal again was to have some parity buy-in among the employees with respect to Wisconsin retirement system and our health plan premium contributions and health risk assessments. I think we've gone a long way towards accomplishing that, and again, we have a 3-year agreement. One of the reasons for the 3-year term is to give us time to achieve those objectives and also to match the term of the collective bargaining agreement with the term of the elected sheriff, so that the new sheriff doesn't come in the middle of a collective bargaining agreement that she or he didn't have anything to say about. If there's any questions, I'll try to answer them. Otherwise, it's very similar to the tentative agreement we reached with the emergency services employees.
Is there any questions? All in figure, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Whatever that was. Compensation plan aging increases for general municipal employees.
Make a motion, we approve.
Okay, is there a second by
I'll second that,
Susan.
Mr. Chairman.
Susan Beecha? Go ahead, Ken.
Sure. I'll just go through just a quick summary of what we're looking at. I'm just going to go through the items, each one, just to explain them. So the first one is we're applying an aging factor of 1.6%. And again, when we say the aging factor, what we're doing is we're actually aging the plan. And again, this does not affect an individual's pay depending on 2 factors, which is outlined below. So the second factor B is that if an employee falls below our minimum within our plan, then they'll be brought back up to minimum. And then likewise, if an employee had hit the midpoint, we'll maintain them at midpoint. So those are just protections so people don't fall below those 2 floors in essence, but that's what aging the plan does on our pay plan. Then item number 4 actually then explains what our 2016 wage increase schedule will be. That is on page 131 of your packet. But again, it kind of looks like almost like a little chart. And this is what we're moving terms in terms of our process for our employees. We're going to go through an evaluation process. And then upon completion of a successful evaluation, depending on where they are within the pay plan, they'll qualify for that related merit increase. And that merit increase would take effect on the first full pay period after their anniversary date. So that's how that is being laid out. So I mean, that's just pretty much a summary on the chart itself. If you just want to just have a quick summary, I'll just go through the chart. Just a brief explanation of that. So if you're an employee that's between the minimum and the midpoint, what will happen is on your anniversary date, you would qualify for a step increase going up to the next step. If you're an employee between the midpoint and below the maximum, depending on how your evaluation is completed, you would qualify for either a 2.25, or 2.5% increase for 2016. And then likewise, if you're above the maximum, if you're above or substantially above meets the requirements, you can qualify up for a 1.5 or 2.5% cash bonus up to either a $1,500 max or a $2,500 max. So that gives you just a summary of the pay plan for 2016.
Does anybody have any questions? Mark?
I will be abstaining from 101 and 102, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Grant, does he have to abstain or not? Or-
Mark and I have talked about it, and I think it's a good idea in his situation, and so.
Okay. Anybody else? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? With 1 abstention, you got that down, okay. Next item is the amendment compensation plan, Door County base compensation guide, Door County comprehensive performance policy. Someone to make a motion to pass that? Motion by Dave, seconded by Helen. You want to explain that one?
Sure. So this one is a policy that's been on the books before, but obviously we went through this entire process. We made updates to the proposal itself. Will match now part of the pay plan that we just adopted in the previous resolution. So for example, now each year, you're going to see that similar chart come before you. We'll make it part of the budget process, but then we'll actually adopt, for example, next year, 2017 pay plan, our pay schedule. We also made some tweaks in the plan itself, just in terms of both promotions and demotions, and also some other minor adjustments. If there's any detailed questions, I know Kelly's in the back, and I also can answer any questions if you have on it.
Okay, is there any questions? Done?
You said demotions?
Sure. So for example, if someone took a position that's at a higher, I guess, grade, and they went to another position where it's a lower grade position, then there's a process for that individual to move into that position and what would happen to their pay related to that.
So if they move into a different position with a lower pay grade,
Correct.
they maintain that pay grade?
There could be an adjustment. What we're trying to do is set up a framework for that. So if I'm at a pay grade, well, I'm trying to think of a good example of what we worked through, so.
Excuse me. If I decided to go from
Right.
corporation counsel to assistant corporation counsel, I'd be moving from one pay grade to another. And there's a mechanism by which in there that would allow my annual compensation, and appropriately so, to be adjusted to recognize the diminished responsibilities. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Demotion may not be the best word, but...
Right.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is passed unanimously. Next item is a position reclassification request for 2016. Motion by, who wants to make a motion by Dave Lino, seconded by Steve Solons. Go ahead.
Sure. So one of the things that I was tasked with was looking at certain positions that when they went through the original Whipley study, there are some individuals or some positions that thought they did not get the proper opportunity to have the position reviewed or appeal process. So again, I worked with the HR director in setting up a process where each department, each department head could submit the positions that they wanted to have reviewed. We had a total of 22 positions that were submitted by department heads, and we had those reviewed by a consultant, Carlson Detman. And what they did is, based off that review, they are recommending that we change 5 of those positions, and those positions are part of the resolution, and those changes, if adopted, would be effective, again, the first full pay period of the new fiscal year.
Are there any questions? Go ahead, Don.
What's the length of time?
I'm sorry?
What is the length of time that if they change their pay grade, what is the length of that time? Is it like 3 years, 5 years?
Well, this will be, again, if you look at the resolution itself, we'll actually be changing their range.
Yeah.
And that'll be effective on their first pay period after January 1st, and they'll now be in that new pay range going forward.
Okay.
So that'll be a permanent change in their pay.
Kathy?
But there isn't any retroactive that starts
No.
after the first.
Correct, correct.
John Ninus?
If they get a change in range in their grade, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to get a raise in pay, because they may already be at the point of the new range that they're moving into, correct?
That is correct, yeah. So this is changing their range. So for example, someone that's in one of these ranges could be within their maximum. So what it'll do is this going to recalculate where they fall in the pay scale. They may still be in the maximum, or they may actually drop below. So there's different opportunities where they are within the pay plan of what impact there would be.
Any other questions? Don City?
If there were 22 of them, did you prioritize or what?
Okay, for the 22 positions, we actually went through And it wasn't really a prioritization, it was just a matter of, did we feel that the analysis that was done in position was the correct or not? And if we felt that there was clear evidence that it was incorrect, we're recommending a change, and that's why we're recommending these changes today. And then the other positions that we didn't change, those are actually going to be, actually the entire plan is actually scheduled to be evaluated next year. Every position in the county is going to be analyzed next year. So there's still an opportunity that some of those might change. But right now, based off the initial review, they are not recommended for a change this year because they were close enough to being what they were supposed to be.
Thank you. That was my second question, is that if they can come back again and get reclassified.
Correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is passed unanimously. Next one is 2015-104, Capital Improvement Funds, the County Roads and Bridges Funds. Do I have a motion? Motion by David, seconded by Kathy Schultz. David Lino, you want to explain this one?
Annually, the Highway Department can ask for transfers if the maintenance took more than was expected and as was budgeted for. This year, they have a slight overage of, it's under $50,000, but they're asking for up to $50,000 to be transferred. It'll be taken out of the CIP fund that was approved for this year. They have extra dollars in that particular line item, so we're asking for a transfer up to $50,000 for 2015.
Does anybody have any questions? If not, we have to go to the voter board for this one to establish that it's 2/3. That has passed on a vote of 19 yes and 2 absent. Next are the ordinances, amendment to the zoning map of Bailey's Harbor. Kenny?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion, we accept the report.
Okay, is there a second? Seconded by Don City.
Okay. Bottom line, the last sentence on the explanation, the owner is proposing to rezone the property so that he may create a total of 2 to 3 lots from the 7.9 acre parcel.
Okay,
And the RPC committee approved that.
okay. Does anybody have any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That has passed. You want to make a motion to approve the,
And now I'll make a motion to approve the amendment 2015-13.
okay, seconded by David Engel.
Angle.
Same explanation. Does anybody
explanation.
have any questions? Ready?
Yep.
We'll go to the voter board and vote for that, because it'll be registered vote, that's
Roll call. We need a roll
roll call, whatever. Moving so fast, I can't think that
call.
quick.
Yeah, I hear you.
That is passed on 19 with 2 absent. Next one, Ken, you'll give a report and make a motion?
Well, I won't give the report, but I'll make a motion, we accept the report.
Okay.
But given the complexity with the shoreland zoning, I asked Sue Van Langenberg to come forward and
Okay.
explain it to us all.
Seconded by Don City. Where is she? There she is.
Okay. So within the state budget, there were changes to the shoreland regulations. So this amendment is being put into our ordinance to reflect that wherever we have any inconsistencies with our ordinance and what the new state laws are based on that budget, that those laws will be put in motion and enforced within our ordinance. Over the winter months, we're going to work on amending our ordinance to say exactly what the state rules are, but this is our interim fix.
Okay, has anybody got any questions? Go ahead, Paul.
I have a comment, and my objection to this is much more philosophical than anything, and that is that we are moving away from county control of a shoreland, which is, you know, a dominant portion of Door County. And we are, by state regulation, now moving this to the state for oversight. It seems to me that in some way, there needs to be a mention given back to the state to say that we really don't like to have the control taken away from the county.
Go ahead, Grant.
I anticipate there will be a resolution being brought forward from the Resource Planning Committee in January to the county board addressing that issue. But to parrot what Sue said, with the adoption of 2015 Wisconsin Act 55 and the shoreline provisions, NR 115 and Section 59.692 of the statutes have become both minimum standards, which they always were. We were never allowed to go below the standards. But with this recent enactment now, they are maximums as well. So what we're doing on the interim fix is just making sure that we can continue to enforce our zoning ordinance while we work out the detailed amendment of our shoreline zoning ordinance and, quite frankly, our general zoning ordinance to come into compliance with state law.
Okay, are there any other questions on the report? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
That it? Opposed, no, okay, fine. Go to the motion for the text amendment.
I'll make a motion to adopt the text amendment 2015-14, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, is there a second? Second by Susan. Same thing, anybody got any other questions? If not, we'll go to the voter board and vote on that. Yes or no? Here's your chance, Paul.
Again.
My gosh. John Burr. That is passed on 18 yes, 1 no. Next item, 507 Woodlands, text amendment. Ken?
Yeah, I'll make a motion, we accept the report to the county board concerning the text amendment, section 5.07 concerning woodlands.
Okay, is there a second? Don City. Explanation?
Well, on line 17 and 18, this amendment would allow for clear cutting of tree plantations in the agricultural zoning districts if the purpose of the clear cutting is to establish, it says, a different permitted agricultural use on the property, but I think we agreed an accepted agricultural, it doesn't necessarily have to be a different one. They could clear cut it and replant the trees. They could make the same one, but it's a approval of an accepted agricultural use. Permitted. Yes, well, permitted, yeah.
Has anybody got any questions?
Did you guys come up with a better definition of tree plantation? Gibraltar was concerned that using just a dictionary definition was not really adequate.
Go ahead, Sue.
Sure. And the committee just...
Thanks for bailing me out, Mr. Chairman.
The committee just discussed that at the last meeting as well. And our ordinance clearly says whenever we don't have a definition in our ordinance, we're supposed to use Webster's dictionary. So we went over that definition, and it was very clear that that did cover the intention of what we're trying to do with this text amendment, so.
We did lay out several different variations of scenarios also, and felt that basically covered it without having to create another definition.
I think we agreed there could always be somebody coming up with an exception or a different interpretation that we would then have to address.
In addition to that definition,
Yes.
we will look at air photos, we will go on the ground and look at the existing use to determine if the overall, all of those things combined do qualify as that plantation.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is passed unanimously. For the text amendment, someone make a motion to,
I'll make a motion, we adopt text amendment 2015-15.
is there a second? Second by David? Anigo. I didn't see you, Dick. So, go to the voter board, do we have to vote this one with the voter board? Oh, my gosh.
Okay, now you're.
Yeah, go ahead. I did already.
You're lucky.
That is passed 19 yes, 2 absent. Are there any special reports that we know of? Nothing. Under new business, we have to elect a person to the Civil Services Commission. This is to replace Ruth Master, which we talked about earlier. The suggestion is that someone nominate, we have to do it through the correct process, right, nominations, et cetera. Go ahead, John Cook, you like to nominate somebody?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to nominate Tim Herlash. He'll be retiring soon from the fire department. He'd be a great candidate for that.
Okay, is there a seconded by Joel Gunlickson? Are there any other nominations? Go ahead, Don City.
I'll make a motion that nominations be closed.
Okay, is there a second to that? Second by Susan? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Do I take a formal vote then after that, Grant, or?
Yes.
Okay, we'll take a vote on all in favor of, should that be recorded with the voter?
No.
Okay, all in favor, say aye for Tim Herlish. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That has passed. Any oral committee reports?
I'm not sure what you voted on.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Go ahead.
this goes back to the shoreland zoning that Mr. Coke brought up.
Okay,
Your comment that we're giving this up to the state, that's not accurate. We didn't give it, the state always had the authority over us. Okay, so we didn't give anything up. What they have done, I asked Sue about this, so I said it correctly. What the state did in the budget cycle was to basically change the rules of how we do it, okay? It wasn't something that any counties have given up to the state. They always had the authority. They have now changed the rules, and we're trying to address that.
okay.
And your concerns, I agree with your concerns.
We got to back up a second. We probably made a mistake because we should have made a motion to,
Voted.
we voted on it, but we didn't have a formal motion for Tim Herlash. So to clear the minutes up, I
I'll make that motion. then.
make a motion for, okay, is there a second? Second by John. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? She's the one that wanted to. yeah.
She's correct.
She's right, though.
Yeah, I know she is. For once?
Don't ever say that.
Take a bow.
Not on camera.
No, I don't get very many kudos.
That's been recorded.
Put that down. I more than one warrant.
Is there any oral committee reports? Does anybody have any questions on the minutes? And anybody have any questions on the vouchers, the claims, and et cetera, bills? This is a record time, I think. Our next meeting is January 26th at 10 a.m., okay, Joe?
Yep.
And we also have the opportunity, if anybody wants to go to the legislative exchange, there was a letter in your, a thing on your packet explaining what the legislative exchange is. Susan, are you going, or?
I would love to go. They
Okay.
do a wonderful job.
I guess, go through your office and who goes.
Please, if you're interested in going, please contact Lori, and we'll work out with Joe.
Okay.
Hey, Jill.
Are there any other questions?
Could you give us a deadline? I know it's in the correspondence we have, but just so that everybody's on board with it.
It's open now
It's open now,
and no later than.
January 9th, I think.
19th it is, no later than January 19th.
So 19, and it's open to any county board member.
Correct.
All right. I do have a question on it, though.
Go ahead.
Why do they do this in February when, and I think we talked about it the last time they did it. Why do they do it in February? And Sue, I'm asking you because you're in legislative, you might have some idea, but I don't mean to put you on the spot. But why would they do it in February when the election comes in April? Why wouldn't they wait on this until, say, late April or at least, or maybe May, when the supervisors are there and for a 2-year term? Some supervisors might go to this and not be here as of April. I mean, we all might not be here as of April. You know what I'm asking? It seems like it's, the timing of it is off.
Okay.
My
Susan?
speculation is, the purpose is when we get there, the legislature will be back in session. and they will brief us on the bills that are being considered and are in progress. And they will hope that we will help influence those bills before they finish. And since this is an election year, I'm guessing by April, things are wrapping up and legislators are getting ready to start campaigning. So this is to give us the material to do our lobbying or see what we want to say about the bills that are being considered before they're voted on.
Okay.
And for the big one.
Anything else? If not, wish you all Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Ken, make your famous
Mr.
motion.
Chairman, if there's no further business be transacted, I'd like to make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay?
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.